Hello everyone, OmnicientWolf here, and today I'll be showing you my stream setup for Mac using the Elgato Game Capture HD. So let's get right to it. First, we have the Elgato Game Capture HD. On the left hand side, we have an HDMI going from the Elgato to the Xbox 360. Also on the left hand side, we have a USB port that goes from the Elgato to the Mac. On the right hand side, we have another HDMI cable that goes from the Elgato to the TV. On my Mac, we have a number of connections. First, we have an Ethernet cable, because simply put, streaming is much more reliable with a wired internet connection. And secondly, we have a couple of wires that are linked to a USB port that I got on Amazon. So since the MacBook Pro that I have only has 2 USB ports, this allows for a lot more. We have the Blue Snowball plugged in via USB, as well as my headphones, which can be seen here. My headphones are Sage SA922, I believe. They're great in terms of hearing. The only downfall is that the microphone that comes with it is of poor quality. It's really hard for people to hear you, so I seldom use that. Instead, if I'm communicating with someone on Xbox Live, I'll use this $10 headpiece simply to communicate using the microphone, while I use my regular headphones to listen to the game chat as well as the game audio. First things first, your Elgato Game Capture HD software should be on. I won't be getting into the settings, as the settings depends on each individual, so it's really up to you. Once the Elgato Game Capture HD software is configured to your liking, you could open OBS. As you can see here, I've already configured a few setups. The one that you see right now is a simple overlay with no webcam. We have the image right over here, which you could add by clicking on Image. And we have the Elgato screen over here. This was achieved through window capture. Once you've captured your screen, you'll want to right click on your Elgato source, definitely click on Transform, and edit the transformation. You'll want to play around with the position and the size in order to get it to fit your dimensions. In other words, play around with it to make sure that the preview screen shows as you want it to. If you want sound for your stream, you'll want to go into your settings. Click on Audio. And for desktop audio device, you'll want to install a program called Soundflower. You'll want to select Soundflower 2CH and not 64CH, as 2CH is the only one that works for OBS. Ensure that you go to your system preferences and choose Soundflower 2CH as your output. You don't have to add a microphone since Soundflower already captures the audio coming from your desktop. Therefore, all audio coming from your Elgato Game Capture HD software will be captured, including the microphone, as long as you've activated the commentary. Personally, I found the best way to start a stream and ensure that everything is synced as it should be is by first clicking on the record button, hitting on live, and then clicking on commentary and activating the microphone. By doing so, I find the audio is well synced with what's being captured on your Xbox. After that, I will hit on Start Streaming. If you want to add a webcam to your feed, this is where it gets tricky. The Elgato Game Capture HD has a 1.5 to 2 second delay, roughly, give or take. And OBS currently does not have the feature to sync audio with webcam. So this has to be done through an external program. This program is called Live Video Delay. First, in Live Video Delay, ensure that you've set your video settings according to what you would like, choosing your webcam as well as the capture resolution. Personally, I found 640 by 480 to work best. Of course, this depends on your overlay dimensions for your webcam. In terms of audio settings, make sure everything is off. Now if you want to add a delay, the first thing you want to change is the buffer length. For now, let's put 20. The buffer length is basically the maximum frames you could allow for a delay. We set this by clicking on frames of video delay, which, according to the buffer length, can only go up to 20. So let's hit 20. You will see here it says approximately a 1.4 second delay. As you can see right now, there's a delay with my voice and the webcam. Of course, this is not an issue with the Elgato Game Capture software, since the audio of the Game Capture software goes hand in hand with what's being displayed on the Xbox. So the only thing you have to focus on is making sure that the video matches the audio of your microphone. Once again, this is a bit tricky. The best way to do this would be to go back to OBS, taking your controller in hand, and testing the sync between the audio and the video. Personally, what I do is I go up and down the menu, see if the action matches my voice and camera. So for example, if I go down, roughly the same, but you might tweak the settings to ensure that the seconds are not off. So let's try again. Up. Almost exact. I got lucky there. As you can see, my webcam might be still a little bit fast, so I might want to modify the seconds. It's not an exact science, you just got to tweak around with it. If you want to add the webcam to your stream, you will need 2 additional programs. The first thing you would do is open the Siphon Inject program. From here, you'll find the live video delay application. You'll then click on Inject. We can now close Siphon Inject. For CamTwist, make sure you're using version 3.0 and not 2.5, as 2.5 does not have Siphon support. The first thing you'll want to do is take a look at the preferences of your CamTwist application, specifically the video size. Here you will select how big the webcam appears. Note, as stated within the preferences, after you change the setting, you must restart CamTwist and your video stream for it to take effect. Also, ensure that it enables the Siphon server is selected. The next thing you'll want to do is choose Siphon as your video source. I already have this set up under Saved Setups under Siphon Live Delay. Once I click on it, I'll hit on Select. As you can see under Effects in Use, it is now selected. Also, in the settings, you'll have to choose the appropriate Siphon server. In this case, you'll choose Live Video Delay, which would otherwise not be available had you not selected it under the Siphon Inject program. Now you're set. All you need to do is add the video capture device as a source in OBS. You would do so by clicking on the plus, choosing Video Capture Device. As you can see, I already have an existing live video delay, but for now, we'll click on Create New. Click on OK. As for the device, you will choose CamTwist. At the end of the day, this is what the stream setup looks like set up in the living room. Don't mind the laundry basket, that's simply used to keep things level. This was a very brief description of my current stream setup. I didn't focus too much on specific settings, but instead I try to show you the tools and processes that I use for my stream and recording sessions. Links to all the programs that I mentioned in the video will be available in the description box below. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to leave a comment. And as usual, feel free to like, favorite, and subscribe. Thanks for joining the Wolfpack, and until next time. Ow!